Well, this morning I'm just delighted to be with one of my favorite people, Grant Casswell. Grant is the owner of Dennis Welding in Kindersley. And I couldn't be more thrilled, Grant, to have you tell your story about how wonderful entrepreneurship's been for you and your experience. Tell us your story. I'm really wanting everyone to know what your experience has been like with entrepreneurship.
All right, well, I think you kind of know where I started. I've been working with Vickie for years and years now, but I moved back to Kindersley here and started my own welding company in about 2011, and kind of grew into a little bit larger company and made partners with a local entrepreneur, and I've kind of took over his business.
And how's it been for you to take that leap of faith in terms of growth again? Because it's not easy starting as an entrepreneur and then to take a growth leap like you did. It's a pretty big transition. So how did you prepare for that, Grant? What kind of things did you think helped you along that way?
Well, it was, like you say, a large leap. It's had its ups and its downs. I feel like I've been through quite a bit of weird things now over the past 4 or 5 years. But working with my partner had been in it for 30 years, so I had some tips and whatnot from him. My dad has been in business for 40 years, so lots of coaching from him and helpful hints here and there. But big thing in working with people like yourself, developing a plan and a strategy to get through.
Wonderful. So tell me about your dad and your mentor in Dennis Pendry, who used to be the owner, is engaged still, but certainly a little bit more on your shoulders, all of those responsibilities. So tell us about that. Tell us how that mentorship has been so positive for you.
Well, I mean, even before we knew this was happening, it was kind of already happening. I'd worked with Dennis for years before this kind of came to be, and just kind of following his lead and how he was doing things. I mean, everybody likes to put their own spin on stuff, but I've seen it since I was a small kid. My dad's ran a business for as long as I can remember. So just watching and learning, lots of watching. I mean, even when I was just a one-man operation, you learn lots of things. Just watch and listen to other people.
So critical that you sort of modeled and mentored some of your dad's experiences, and it's easy when you hear it at the table sometimes, right, about what ways to get out of trouble and strategies already. So you had a pretty good background in that.
Well, absolutely. Seen some things. I mean, my dad's kind of a one-man show now, but he used to be larger years ago, so kind of seen the headaches of having employees and everything else. I mean, there's good things, but there's always the bad that comes with the good. So.
Right. So how important did you think the plan was for you? So the planning process that you had to go through, and I know Meridian Community Futures sort of put you through those strategies, but what do you think about that? What do you think about the plan?
It was the most important part of taking on this role is the planning, because once you're in it, you can't start planning once you're already there. I mean, it takes a lot. You have to have a plan ahead of time so that you can have a path. Because if you don't know what path you're taking when you start, you can get into... I think you'd get into trouble because you don't really have time to make these plans once you're in it.
Right.
I mean, I still find I do that daily. I'm a list guy. I make a plan for tomorrow. It's the end of the day. What are we doing tomorrow? Write it down and make a plan. And I wish it was that easy when I started taking over Dennis's. I think it was a 1.5 year long venture just getting a plan together and getting it formally finished.
And I think that's the thing about a plan, and I'm so proud of you for that, because you use the plan every day. It's not meant to just be on the shelf and to prepare for the bank or prepare for someone. It's for you to guide you through the strategies that you had. So what do you think the biggest thing was that surprised you about your plan? Was there any surprises that you oh my goodness, I wish I would have thought of that first? Like, were there surprises?
Not really too many surprises per se. I think I had some good help from both my accountant and Meridian and my mentors. I mean, it was just conversations and things you didn't think about, right? And even my lawyer, when we were getting closer to the end, some points that we should consider. And it's like, wow, yeah, I'm glad we, just had the conversation. It seemed a little daunting at first, some of the stuff you're going over, but well worth it.
Yeah.
Lots of it's paid off, and really happy I spent the time beforehand to make a plan.
That's wonderful. So do you feel that you have any more goals and strategies that you want to think about one day in terms of growing your plan? And I mean, you've had some pretty strategic adjustments, I'm sure, in the last couple of years with our oil and gas industry. So tell me about that. So what do you think, how did you adapt, and how would you want to adopt in the future for that?
Well, I think diversification is very important, and I've been trying to diversify as much as I can. I mean, I find that different from the way it was run before. I mean, we're trying to not just depend solely on the oil and gas industry, and it's worked out wonderfully in the last few years, because it hasn't been a very big boom since the last bust. So it just trying to make adjustments that you can keep everybody working and busy. It's important, because they don't care what the industry's doing. They still want to come to work and still want to take a paycheck home at the end of the week.
Yeah, and that's so critical. I mean, the goal of economic strategies is for Community Futures and others is also certainly to look at employee the benefits of having you in business. That's so important. So tell me about the employees. How many do you have? Do you have contract guys on? Tell me about your industry sector and how that sort of works.
Well, it's been a roller coaster the last 4 or 5 years. We've been anywhere from down to approximately 8 employees, up to upwards of 30, depending on what we have on the go. I mean, right now, currently, we're sitting around 10 to 12 employees, with the odd subcontractor, but it just depends on the workflow.
Right, so you have lots of project-based stuff you work on all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
right. I mean, when we kind of upscale, I mean, it's definitely some more challenges, and putting some people in place to manage those people.
So you get pretty good at outsourcing and finding subcontractors and the work to put the package together.
You bet. Yeah, the biggest thing is finding somebody to help you put the people and the package together, because you can't just hire 30 guys and tell them to go to work.
Right.
You got to have something in place to get them to work.
So did you put things in place to help you with that? So you have safety training and manuals to help process you? Like, have you done
Yes.
a lot of that?
Yeah, so we have a very extensive safety manual and our quality control manual. I mean, you could go into our business today, and I think you could read those cover to cover and probably make a go of it. And that's how they're kind of laid out. But just having that person, that you can't expect 30 people to read these manuals and just go to work. You guys will figure it out.
Right.
It's having that leader, and I mean, we have some young leaders in our crew there that kind of take point on some things. You can't be everywhere at once. I mean,
Good. So you've learned to delegate and use planning again for that whole process. So again, a critical point of what you had to do as a new young owner as well. You're not that much older than these guys, right? And this has been pretty new to you at times. So, in fact, you probably have a lot of old guys on your crew.
Well, I have a few. I mean, it's definitely sometimes a challenge in that way of things too. But everybody's not built the same. I mean, and that's probably the most critical part is pairing the right people together. I mean, you can't have all the superstars going out or all the welders going out and leave all the helpers to do the other jobs. I mean, you really have to have a good thought process on that side of things to make it work as a business.
Terrific. So if you had one do-over on this startup phase what would that be? What would be a do-over that you would want to change, or maybe there isn't one?
Gosh, I really don't. I try not to think any regret. To be honest, I don't think there's anything I would change.
Wow, that was impressive. Good for you.
It seemed like at the beginning it was a little daunting with the amount of meetings and paperwork and paper shuffle we did, but now that I look back 5 years ago, it was all very well worth it.
Terrific.
So
good. So tell me your favorite success story that you've had. Like, what were you the most proud of when you took this operation over? What was that? What was your most favorite thing, or what did you feel the most proud of?
Well, I felt pretty proud to be an owner in the community, employing local people. I mean, I kind of toot our horn about employing local people and sponsoring local stuff. But you know, we went from being, when I took over, it was very slow. We had a very quiet year, and that would have been in 2016 or 2017. And following that, we took on one of the largest projects we've ever done. I mean, it was a humongous project just north of Kindersley here, and it was pretty cool to have that done at the end and know that we did the whole thing, and come from, you know, an 8-employee crew to having upwards of 30 people work on this project and complete it successfully. And
that's fabulous. Good for you. So certainly your diversification strategies, your planning strategies have all been pretty powerful for you, Grant. And I couldn't be more proud of you for your strategies, your planning, your cash flow, all of the mentoring that you've done with others has been pretty impressive. So I just want to thank you for that, because I believe too, like you, if we can hire local people, keep them busy, keep them employed, that's the benefit of our systems and philanthropy that your company does. What a wonderful thing for our communities. We can't say enough about that. So thank you very, very much for that. So if you had one message for these young people, what would you leave them with?
Well, it's a big step, but don't let anybody tell you it's an impossible step. It's funny because I just like to go back to this. Years ago, even before this became a reality, I had a conversation with my business partner one day, and you know, I wanted to stay local and I wanted to be working here, and I said, so like, you're getting up there, like what's your kind of plan? And he looks over at me, well, I'm not dead yet. And that was the end of the conversation. And I was going, well, I guess we're not going anywhere with this. And I think, you know, just that small conversation put a little thought into his head, and well, maybe this isn't maybe it's an option, right? And
yeah.
I just saw it as an option for me to stay local and be home mostly every night.
Yeah.
So and keep local people working. I mean,
what a powerful thing, and again, it's just wonderful to see that. And I think you hit a really good point, is about the succession of current business owners, and that you have to look inside of that. And so that's really an important thing for all of us to consider, is there's really good solid businesses there that people are wanting to transition out of. Sometimes they don't know, just
sometimes
like you
they
did,
don't
right?
know, yeah. I mean, and I mean, looking forward, I guess my biggest thing is being prepared at that point. So I kind of have a plan to get out. I mean, it's something we don't talk about often enough, but it's definitely on my mind already. I mean, being a young entrepreneur, it shouldn't be, but you know, you kind of look at some of these other succession planning courses and just local people that have been doing it. Well, I would have done it this way if I was 20 years younger. Well,
right.
I don't want to be the guy that's saying that 20 years from now. Oh, I should have done this when I was younger, right?
Right. So at some point you'll be looking for that person within your crews out there that may have that entrepreneurship inkling and may want to. So one of these young people out here right now might be that person. So
absolutely.
So that's opportunity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you can do anything you want. It's just you have to want it.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be all good days. It's not going to be all dreams and glory. Everybody always says, "Oh, it must be nice running your own business. Take time off whenever you want." Well, to a point.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Someday in the future.
Someday.
Well, Grant, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity for you to share with these young people about your successes, and we just wish you the best in your future endeavors and congratulate you on taking the steps and baby steps. You owned your own company by yourself, one-man operation, and then you grew into this new venture. So good on you, Grant. We can't be more proud of you, and thank you for taking the opportunity to share your story. It's real important to us. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Thanks.